Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is the last show that we have here on Investing Bros before Christmas. It is Tuesday, December 20th, and we are so excited to be here with you guys. Normally, we say we got a lot to cover. I'm not necessarily thinking there's necessarily a lot to cover in this stream. Not too much news, but the little bit that there is, it is great stuff. You don't want to miss a single second. Make sure you guys, after the stream is over, stay tuned because we will kill this stream. We'll leave it an hour long. And then right after, we're going to be doing a Christmas version AMA where we will answer all of your questions. We'll talk about mine and T-Shroom's 5 favorite and least favorite Christmas traditions, and we want to hear from you guys what your thoughts are about those are as well. So make sure you stay tuned. Little hint and little teaser too. Taylor will join at least for part of that, and then Beamer, my dog, he also might make an appearance during the AMA. So make sure right after the stream will end at 10, and we'll give it like 2 or 3 minutes so we can set everything up, and then we'll be going live with our AMA. So stay tuned right after the show for that. But I'm joined by T-Shroom this morning. And T-Shroom, how are you doing today?
I am doing really, really well. I'm excited for the big AMA today.
I was expecting something bigger and grander.
Yeah, this whole thing of like me coming up with unique greetings every day is just not sustainable. And I'm all about sustainability.
I think it just requires some more planning. Is what it requires, and there's other things more important than that. But I'm good. Glad to know you're feeling good, T-Shirt. Before we get into this, we're gonna check in with chat here in a second. Where are you going? I know we'll talk about probably this more in the AMA. Where are you going this holiday season?
I am going to Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Ooh.
And I will be posting more than likely on my Instagram at T-Shroom, but I'll also be making some tweets at T-Shroom as well. And I will be posting images of the scenic vistas, of which my eyes grace, and also of myself and my lovely girlfriend, Amanda.
Wow.
And maybe her family, but probably not her family, too.
Awesome. That's going to be good. Well, what are some headlines? Let's do a little bit in crypto, and then we'll join in with chat. What are some headlines we're talking about in today's stream? Again, there's not necessarily a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
But of the few that there are, what is there?
You want to take a look at the headlines, Tim?
I would love to take a look at the headlines, T-Shirt.
Let's go ahead and take a look at those headlines. So today, or we're going to just preview them actually. Today we've got FTX. There's another development with the SBF extradition. Looks like there's going to be a lot of those developments happening as they develop. And then there's some more FTX news. And that one's actually, pretty interesting. We'll get to that. And then Raoul Pal, not RuPaul. Raoul Pal, former Goldman executive, shares some thoughts on the future of crypto. And a lot of kind of his conclusion is reinforced by Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. Yeah. And then we get into the thumbnail headline story, which is Visa exploring options to allow auto payments with ETH wallets, which could be very, very explosive. So that's what we're going to be getting into. There's also a couple of things that Vitalik pointed out this week that we wanted to just make sure did not fall through the cracks. Not that we're going to really be able to do much about it, but we wanted to blast it out into the metaverse, if you will, so that folks can have a chance of checking that out. Also in the stock market news, the Nike 225, which is just the Japanese stock market, falls more than 2% after the Bank of Japan widens yield target range.
Yeah.
And the yen strengthens on that news. So, Tim,
it's going to be interesting.
Those are the headlines that you were so curious about.
I am very glad that we got those. Another headline we're not going to talk about, so I'm just going to mention it right here for about another 20 seconds.
Yeah, what's that?
I read the headline that Elizabeth Warren is anti-Warren, anti-Elizabeth.
Your aunt, right?
My aunt, yeah, Elizabeth, Native American aunt.
So that means you're Native American as well?
In a way,
124.
Something like that. So she's really concerned about Tesla. Very concerned. She's actually, from what I'm reading, she is connecting with the board members to find out if Elon running Twitter has hurt stock investors for Tesla.
Oh no.
So she's really trying to help people out. And it's it's great. That's the great thing about American politics is that we can get involved in businessmen's days and lives and tell them what companies they're allowed to run and not allowed to run.
Right.
It's a movement we're trying to start, us Warrens. I'm not convinced of it just yet, but Aunt Elizabeth is really excited about it.
She's just trying to help out, Tim.
She is. Look at her. She's a volunteer. That picture right there is her spirit. She just wants to help. So
I think there's a good chance that she may be a Tesla Tesla shareholder herself.
You think? Yeah, there might be something there.
Or maybe
might
her
be
husband.
something there. Well, let's go ahead and check in with chat here. We got 35 people in chat already, 36 now. Let's say hello to some of these beautiful people. First of all, guess who was the first comment? I mean, other than investing.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
That is our inaugural every day. Who was first?
Taylor Warren.
It is Taylor
Wow.
Warren saying, "What is up?"
Well, she just
bros?
earned a free hug from me. That's
Wow.
for sure.
Those
One free hug.
those aren't cheap.
Well, I'll be honest with you, they were pretty cheap.
Well, it depends on your. Anyway, Mr. Is it like worth a Cardano?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's pretty cheap.
That's
Mr.
rough.
J says, morning all. Brian D checking in from Rochester, New York. Crypto JMP, not Crypto Jump, as we found out. Crypto JMP is here. Kasha Katz is in chat. Brandon Chambers, Mr. B, Servando Estrada. Army Piper is here. Love Army Piper. More Servando Estrada. Steve B. I almost said Stevie B. Steve B. Zager. Zager is in chat. Who else is here? The Kid Calm. Miyamo Lucifer. Okay, there we go. Just sometimes when you read. Gia S is here. Elo Brown, Jason Mack, CD Unicorn, Brad Geidel. Love Brad Geidel. You know who talks about Brad Geidel like almost every single time we hang out? So Brad, you should feel really
Brad
special.
Geidel.
I would think Brad Geidel would. No, every single time that I've hung out with Smay recently,
Oh, yeah?
he loves Brad Geidel. So we're going to have an AMA with Smay comes and Brad Geidel comes. And it's because Brad owns Smay's dream vehicle.
Subaru?
The Subaru. Smay someday is going to have a Subaru. He's speaking out into existence. But love for Brad. Tristan Allen is here as well. V Slim and Dr. Crypto and Alex Green is here. So that is all the time we have names. So if you guys join late and we don't get your names read, we still love you and we wish you a Merry Christmas. But we wanna give a special shout out to all of our early joining fans. Let's go ahead and jump in here and start with some technical analysis. Some interesting things happening this morning. We're going to kind of go through these together. We're out here on the 4-hourly chart. This is Bitcoin, for anyone who is wondering, if you can't read beneath there.
Bitcoin.
We, after falling out of our little bear flag we kind of had built, which makes you kind of wonder, what's this going to end up looking like? I'll keep you posted. I'm not certain yet. I'm going to leave this for now. I'm going to leave this rising level of support and resistance that is a trading channel for now. But we broke out of it, which I thought we would, but we didn't quite get as low as I would have figured. And the reason I say that is because, again, if you guys watched the show yesterday, I talked about this bear flag opportunity, and then this would be a breakout prediction, potentially coming all the way down towards that $16,000 level. So, yeah, it says $15,900, but let's just go ahead and round it up to where we have support right back here, around $16,000. Did not get that far. I'll go ahead and show you guys now, just so I don't forget. This is a prime example, though, of finding support using the fixed range volume profile in a valley. Again, you go other places, and there are great technical analysts out there, and I love watching them, and I learn from them, but you almost never hear about people talk about the valleys. You just talk about these peaks. And guess what? These peaks have been important. Right there, that peak, that was our support level when we fell all the way down here towards 16.5. That started this little bear flag. But guess where this little pocket ended up falling? Right into this valley right here. Again, I've been saying this for a while now, and I'm going to be honest, I have never heard a single other technical analyst talk about the valleys. They just like to talk about the peaks, but sometimes these valleys can be just as significant levels of support and resistance, and sure enough, this ended up acting as one. Is it the final one? Are we done falling? I'm not convinced that that's true, but for now, we ended up finding support right in that crevice, right in the valley of the fixed range volume profile, so that's pretty cool. If you guys want to see it a little better, I know my chart, it looks confusing. I'm going to change this timeline a little bit so you don't have all of that information, so you'll see it a little bit better. And there you go. That's a lot better view where you can see that valley right there. Boom. Oh, but I left the price out. There you go.
Oops.
That valley right there hits perfectly with that wick, and that is where we ended up finding support. We did not have to come all the way down to the next peak at 16.17, although, again, I am keeping my eyes there because I'm not convinced that this fall is over. I think this was just a part of something that when you are trending to the downside, you find support and you rally back up. But I'm not necessarily seeing a massive amount of volume here. Yes, we peaked in volume, but that's not necessarily a massive amount that says, oh, the bear trend must be over. But in case anyone's wondering why 16, Why do we bottom at 16,276? That would be one of the reasons why right there. Let's also look real quickly. I want to see if there's anything. I didn't actually check this morning, so you guys are going to be exploring this with me. Let's see if Fibonacci says anything about these levels as well. So this is actually, we hesitated right there in the golden pocket, but came down into the zone between the golden pocket and 0.786. And that's another thing that's kind of pointing us down towards that 16,000. Technically, it's hovering around 16.1, but dropping a little bit below it would not be too weird. 0.786 level on Fibonacci, going down to the bottom we had back here in November up to this peak. That would put us down towards 16,000. And remember about Fibonacci, last thing I'll do and talk about with the education of this is when we're looking at retracements, it's very normal to retrace. Look at this whole bull trend. We pull back, we pull back, we pull back. Pulling back to the 0.236 level or the 0.382 level is not that bearish. That's just a normal pullback, and the bull trend's going to continue. It's when you start hitting the 0.5, you're like, okay, the bulls are starting to lose some steam. When you hit the golden pocket, you're like, okay, the bears are showing some strength. But when you start pulling back towards the 0.786 level, that's when you're saying, all right, bears are stronger than we thought. The bulls have kind of lost all their momentum, and it's maybe potentially either going to the downside, setting a new low, or at best, we're just going to continue to trade sideways, which again makes a lot of sense when we look at historically what happens when we get back down to these levels on the macro. When we're out of the weekly chart, this little level right here that we're at is the 0.786 level itself on Fibonacci, and traditionally we end up kind of hovering right below that area for multiple months before finally breaking through. So that is where we're sitting currently with Bitcoin. Let's look at some other things though, because I do believe that there are some bullish signs forming. So, just because I still have some bearish narrative going on, I still am going to acknowledge that there are some bullish signs and potentially explain why this rally happened. First of all, we have some weak bullish RSI divergence out here on the 4-hourly chart. Keep in mind, we're going to be looking at Cardano here in just a second. Cardano actually has strong bullish RSI divergence. Not that you should get your hopes up too much. There's just no volume in Cardano, but you got to take your wins where you can get them. And potentially, if you're looking for a very small trade or just another entry point for Cardano, it was showing you there was a good one. We were overextended on Bitcoin's oscillator here, the Luxago oscillator for Bitcoin, but we're very quickly kind of coming back up. So keep your eyes here on these oscillators. Notice also that on the 4-hourly chart, we are being rejected right now. We're kind of keeling over on the RSI right there at the 50. This happens a lot. Technically, our price did get back up above, so this is a little interesting. We kind of hit our head on the same resistance that we had a wick over here just, you see, 2 days ago. We rejected right there around the $16,800 level. We're back up to that point. Are we going to reject at the 50 and come back down? This would actually... what we currently are looking at is kind of bullish or bearish RSI divergence, but the good news is theoretically speaking, with how much we rallied in terms of RSI and versus price, we could be seeing potentially some bullish RSI divergence start to form. But that's just on the 4-hourly chart. When you go out to the daily chart, it's not necessarily as much. We're kind of sitting in very neutral ground and being rejected at that 50 several times. We had a small breakthrough, but of course, it's heading back towards it. I'm not necessarily super optimistic. We also got to a place where we were overextended on the oscillators, and it looks like it's time to cool back off, which is why it would make a lot of sense to come back down towards $16,000 or potentially even back down towards that 15.5. But we will watch over the entire Christmas break. If something crazy happens, even though we won't be streaming, I will probably do like a little phone interview. I'll probably just get out here and say, I'm looking at the charts, maybe do some of these things where I show you guys what's happening on the phone. It won't be great. It won't be great. Oh
no, it'll be great. It'll be great.
It won't be great visual effects, but it'll be something. You gotta take what you can get.
It's gonna be great. Tune in.
Let's go and look at the 4-hourly chart Lux Algo indicator itself, though. Let's see what it is saying. Those of you guys who know and use Lux Algo, by the way, special announcement, there is a link if you do not have Lux Algo. We actually now have an affiliate link for Lux Algo in the description down below. So if you've been holding off and you haven't gotten it yet and you would love to go ahead and get it now, go for it. But you guys know one of the things I love to look at daily is this live action concept, looking for different volume points. And we touched both of them in these key moves. But also I love using Lux Algo contrarian signal. And here's a good sign. This is another thing I will say potentially is a good sign. During a bear trend, during a negative trend, I don't put as much weight into the buy signals because everything's moving down. A lot of times you're going to see a buy signal flash and then the bottom comes several candles later. It's during upward trends that you see a buy signal actually kind of get extremely close, if not hit the perfect top. See, like right here, for example, let's just explore this. This was a bull trend, right? So we're moving to the upside. That was a good buy signal, right? That was a bad sell signal. We kept moving to the upside. Why? Because the trend was still going up. That was a bad sell signal. Why? Because the trend was still going up. We reversed. We came back down. That wasn't the best buy signal. It was close, but it was not the best because now the trend is getting bad. The fact that this buy signal hit the bottom wick and now we start to move back up to the upside, potentially are we looking at a trend reversal back to the upside? We have a take profit all the way up towards 17.3. I'm not seeing confluence hit yet, so I'm not necessarily making any trades or predicting I'm going to think Bitcoin's going that high just yet. But if it does, Luxalgo was talking about that, had a buy signal right here after hitting a reversal zone, the buy signal before. We're currently hovering right at the trend catcher, so that's kind of decision time right there. We sometimes reject off the trend catcher, sometimes we go above it. That's the big decision point. Again, I still think there's more control in the camp of the bears, but keep your eyes on that. If we start to break out, maybe we are heading back towards 17.3, and if we can head back towards 17.3, that's setting a new higher high, more than likely setting a higher low, and maybe the trend is reversing back to the upside. We'll keep you posted on that one. However, what I'm seeing here, that again, I kind of just spoke bullishly, but now I'm going to come back to real life with bearish. The reason why I'm a little hesitant about that rally happening is this action concept. So we came down and touched some massive volume down here that we had been talking about, this 16.2 all the way to 16.5. We came down here and touched that wick, but then we came back up, and the next pocket of volume above us for resistance was sitting right here at where? 16.7, 16.8, and sure enough, we're hovering right in that zone. Have we been rejected at it just yet? No, not necessarily. However, when you're using action concept, you're looking at these volumes. These are liquidity zones. These are places where there was money, there's longs, there were shorts being entered, and going into them ends up stopping momentum. It would be very bullish if we just go ahead and break on through and head back up towards this take profit. But until that happens, me using the Luxalgo action concepts, I'm not necessarily too certain that's going to happen, especially when I'm looking at some other charts and some other things. The fact that there is still a lot of support that we could go to down here even lower. Let's go to the daily chart using these live action concepts. Yes, we got down to the zone, but I think there's a very real chance we end up coming all the way down to the bottom of the zone towards 16,000. Keep your eyes posted on what is happening there, guys. But if you don't have Luxalgo and you love every day when I use this tool, you guys can absolutely get that down in the description below. It's one way not only to help yourself, but to help our channel as we are slowly but surely getting closer towards being monetized in one way or another. And thank you so much to Sean Mack and Luxalgo for partnering with us to make that possible.
Let me just hop in here really quick.
Yeah.
Because ever since I started using Luxalgo, I have really enjoyed it. Do I make every single trade based on Luxalgo? Yes, because I actually look and see what Luxalgo is saying. Now, does it mean that I make every single trade up or down based on Luxalgo? No. Sometimes I deviate from it, but every single time I see Luxalgo saying buy or sell signal, it gives me a strong inclination. Hey, maybe I need to take a better look, a second look at this asset and make sure I'm tracking it. Make sure I'm looking at the patterns, the candlestick patterns, making sure I'm seeing its relative distance from the 200 SMA, and just make sure that I'm really paying attention. And Luxalgo helps me do that every single time.
I mean, I would by no means say that it should be your main one. I'm a big fan of knowing how to do technical analysis all around. It is phenomenal for people who don't know any technical analysis but want to look for good spots. Again, it's one of mine. I'll use it for good spot action. So when to enter, when to take profit. But I do like to rely on confluence, and that means I want to see the RSI say something. I want to see volume profiles kind of confirm. It's when you get a confirmation from all of them that you're really confident about your moves. And there's nothing 100%, but the probability of you being correct skyrockets the more tools you have.
The cool thing too is we know the owner. He's a super cool guy, and they're always adding. It seems like they're adding a new indicator. Yes. They're tweaking it constantly. Like every quarter, there's a whole new set of like value that you get. So pretty dope. Back to the charts, Tim.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to Ethereum, where we actually had a little bit more bullish action happening on Ethereum than we did Bitcoin. And again, we're going to talk about some news. I don't know if the news necessarily is what made it skyrocket back up higher than what Bitcoin did or what Cardano did, but that definitely did not hurt. And I think there's a chance based off of the news we're going to talk about here in the second half hour of the show that Ethereum could be ready to take off and actually lead the market here for just a little bit of time at least. But unlike Bitcoin, where we came back up and touched former resistance, Ethereum actually broke back up. What it's going to, though, instead of just going to the resistance here, it is going back up to that pocket, that zone. So again, anyone who does technical analysis, you guys know I'm a big fan of leaving lines on the charts for a while until the lines are just so ridiculous, the zones are just so ridiculously irrelevant, then you can get rid of them so there's not a distraction in your eyeballs. But this zone has been important. It was resistance back here in July, support here in October, turned back into resistance temporarily, very short time frame support, and now it's being turned back into resistance. So this is a level, again, one of the reasons also, just so you guys know, I got ahead of myself, one of the reasons I also think that the market's going to go down is Ethereum, for example. It's looking at a level of resistance. It went all the way back up to it. That makes me think Ethereum more than likely will reject right here and come to the downside. Same, Bitcoin will reject where it's currently sitting and come to the downside. Cardano the same. This is just a level. Sometimes you can read one chart and kind of help you inform. Right now, the crypto markets moves so similar, it can give you a good idea. If there's any hesitation, if you're like, man, Bitcoin or Cardano or this other coin, it's sitting in a spot of uncertainty. I'm not really sure which direction it's going to go. Sometimes when you look at another major altcoin, like for example, Ethereum sitting at a major resistance level, and you're going to say, all right, well, it looks like Ethereum's going to drop. That would then answer the question, all right, if I'm not sure about Bitcoin or Cardano, what it's going to do, by looking at the Ethereum chart, it's giving me a good indication the crypto market probably is about to keel back over and go towards the downside. Set new lows? I don't know. But go to the downside more than likely. Let's look at some oscillators here on Ethereum. Yeah, so here, right, even though it got a nice little spike, I don't like, and you guys know I love reading RSI. I love when I get bullish RSI divergence. I love reading these things. We technically have some right here. This is weak bullish RSI divergence where the candle body closes are flat, but the RSI bottoms rose to the upside. But look at how high the RSI jumped compared to these other peaks. Like, for example, look right here. This RSI peak right here at 46 matches a price level all the way up towards 1277. We went way above that, all the way up towards 54 on the RSI. Only got to our resistance level here at 1216. To me, that is a bearish narrative. I think that that's actually kind of the RSI resetting, allowing for the price and the RSI to go lower. Now, it could be a setup for bullish RSI divergence, which would be phenomenal. But guess what that would more than likely bring? That would bring the price action coming down lower before it found support, right? So now we have a candle body close that's lower, and at the same time, the RSI only comes down towards here, and then we bounce up, and then we'd have a nice little bullish RSI divergence kind of zone on our RSI. Come on now, chart, work with me here. And the price action would be moving to the downside, and this would be our bullish RSI divergence, but it will come with a little dip first. So why did I say, I almost said that negatively. I want to kind of change my tone on that. That's bullish. I like that. I like, if this happens the way I think it should, I like this. This is good for Ethereum. Why? Because it gives me a lower entry point if I want to DCA in, if I want to enter another long in. Seeing a lower Ethereum price is a good thing. It just means that anyone who's currently in the long are thinking Ethereum is about to skyrocket because the price is jumping up this morning. No, you need to be patient and wait a little bit longer. And then also understand from a macro perspective, the crypto market is just not ready to take off like crazy. This is something that I will probably just need to remind people every single day, no matter what bearish or bullish news we have, there's still macro things happening that are just normal, and we just need to calm down and not freak out when Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano don't move the way we want them to move. It is still a bear market. We have not necessarily confirmed that the bottom is in. So that means we need to keep our narrative thinking, not how much money can I make today? How much gains will I make today? We need to keep our mind in the place of saying, wow, I still have an opportunity to acquire more supply because I know in the future, the next couple of years, there will be a golden opportunity to be making some money. This is not the time to make that money. This is the time to plant the seeds that will actually bring that profit and that wealth later on down the road. Let's move on to Cardano, though, and look at what it's doing. As we said, so this is the tale of the three things. There's the bullish, the okay-ish, and then the bearish. Bitcoin set a peak over here with the price action recently and then came back up, matched it. Ethereum set this little peak and then came and outdid it. Super bullish. Cardano just keeps getting lower. So it set our peak back here a couple days ago, and then we can't even get back to that. We're rejecting right now on former support. Cardano continues to fall. Now, you guys can see something very blaringly obvious right here. We got some bullish RSI divergence. Yay! The candle body closes are going lower and the RSI closes are going higher. We have very much a green cloud right here of overextend to the downside on our Luxago oscillators. If I pull up those said Luxago indicators, currently sitting, we're under a buy signal. But remember, we're in a bear trend, so that was a terrible buy signal. It's still hovering there, wants us to head back up towards 28.6. The reason it hasn't updated a buy signal is because we're still under one. It did reset our take profit level, though, and lower our expectation. But right now, there's so much saying, man, we're so overextended to the downside. Here's my only problem, and I do think that that's good. I still think that realistically, Cardano's bottom is going to sit somewhere between 20 cents and 22 cents. I just cannot trust any trade with Cardano whatsoever, and it's because of this right here. There is no volume on Cardano. People do not want to touch Cardano right now, which means the only time the price really actually makes any significant moves is to the downside when Bitcoin and Ethereum and other altcoins in the stock market make moves, and people are just dumping to get ready for lower positions. The future is still bright with Cardano, but I'm not reading too much in these signs. Here's another thing about technical analysis. Technical analysis is more likely to work when the volume is high. So right now, I'm here on the charts, and you guys might be saying, Tim, why are you here? I'm here more of like a teaching lesson. This is not very helpful in the micro to do a lot of technical analysis on Cardano. Do not be entering longs. Don't enter shorts either. And the reason why is because there's no volume. If there was a massive amount of volume every time the price moved down, then I would say, all right, Cardano's still a great coin to continue to short and to make some money that way. But there's no volume ever. Like this little peak right here, this is, I can't remember what happened on the 9th. I have to go back and do some history on that one. But other than that one little candle body, there's no volume on Cardano, whether the price moves up or down, which means it's just following markets. Also, guess what? Technically speaking, right now, they're still an inflationary coin. They still produce supply. So why is the price going down? Because no one's buying and no one's selling. And so every single time we build and print new coins, that's going to bring less value to the market. We need volume to come back into Cardano before we can say with any certainty that it's ready to go up. Now, here's what I'll tell you, and I've said this every single day. I'm a broken record. So this is mostly for the people who maybe this is the first time they're watching us, or maybe it's only the second and they missed the section I said this. Cardano is one of those coins that when it pops off, it will pop off. Like when it decides it is time, it will go very fast, very high. Moving out to the macro where there is more volume coming in. So again, we have volume all the way back in here. We have some significant volume even all the way back here in May. It really started to die off really after this little fall we had back here in November. There's been no volume over the last month and a half or so. But in the macro, we are still sitting in a place where we have a falling wedge pattern. Yes, we're hovering a little bit below that support, but that's more of a zone pocket. I'm not necessarily too worried about the fact that we're a little bit below it. This is still in a macro timeline bullish that we will send us back to the upside. The question is when, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been reading articles. You can go off my screen now, T-Shroom. I'm kind of done for right now with technical analysis. Cardano, it's actually baffling a lot of people. And I read an article even this morning that was titled like Cardano's price continues to disappoint despite all of the fundamental updates. And I know some people who don't know much about Cardano will go after it and say, what does Cardano actually do? And what does it work? Cardano doesn't have the same relationships just yet that Ethereum had, or even the ones that Solana was slowly building. But we all know Solana is now starting to die off with all the Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX stuff. But the infrastructure and the technology and the future that Cardano is focused on and building with security, their relationships with Africa, which again, right now are not producing massive numbers on the charts, but when Africa actually gets fully developed and when it starts to get introduced more, there will be astronomical numbers coming into the space in terms of price action, and there will be world improvement because Africa has some of the greatest and smartest tech people, I don't know technicians, I don't know, who are not able to actually contribute to society due to centralized banking systems. That is something that Charles and his team over at IOHK is super passionate about, is getting the bank to the unbanked, allowing them to contribute to actual success around the globe. And when that happens, again, when, not if, when that happens, I'm expecting a massive, massive green candle even out on like weekly charts for Cardano.
And it's not just like the Cardano story is completely contingent on Africa, and that's not what what Tim was saying anyway. But some people might think that. Here's my theory. Why Cardano is in the situation that it's in, because obviously when I've studied it and I've studied very deeply all of the different top 20 cryptos, right? When I look into Cardano, here's what I think that my hunch is. Charles Hoskinson has not prioritized marketing to the masses, but he's also not prioritized a hardcore sales team to institutions. Now, they have partnerships. Don't get me wrong. They have big partnerships. But I think a lot of these other cryptos started with the founders being super plugged in, networked, well networked with like big banks, big financial institutions, global influencing, global banks and global financial community influencers. Specifically, a lot of the coins that are appealing to the ISO 222 crowd. And Cardano is just sitting back and like, they have the approach of if we build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Which is not the right approach from a marketing standpoint. That has been proven in the 21st century to be a failed marketing approach. It worked a lot in the past, but moving forward, they know they have the real value blockchain. They know that they've built something extremely valuable, and a good marketer would go forward into the marketplace and try and evangelize that truth. But at the end of the day, they don't prioritize that as much, right? And their community is robust, their community is legitimate, and at some point they will be recognized by the global institutions as the most viable, one of the most viable blockchains. Any institution that has bought into the Solana blockchain and now understood, what an outage is, and Solana has outages. And then they're like, okay, well, are there any alternatives?
Mm-hmm.
Especially right now when there's a lot of distrust in the crypto space, those bigger institutions are probably looking elsewhere, and they might find Ethereum, they might find AVAX, but some of them are going to find Cardano.
The thing to not forget is, again, they didn't just not do the publicity stunts the way other altcoins did them. They specifically just went after their production and got negative publicity from things like, we know what's happened with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. We know those relationships actually were kind of working to cancel out Cardano, to push them out, to not let them stay up with the top altcoins.
Mm-hmm.
As that's playing out, there's still, I think, a bad taste. A lot of people are almost being told and pushed, don't do partnerships with Cardano, by this FTX people, by Solana people. As those projects start to move to the wayside and trust is fleeting, there's no trust in FTT anymore. There's no trust in FTX. As trust continues to wane in things like Solana, watch those institutions who before were just not knowing anything, being told, stay away from Cardano, start to realize, oh my gosh, it actually is the safest protocol to be working on, and has fixed so many things. And by moving slower like a tortoise rather than a hare, they've solved a lot of problems these other protocols have not solved. Therefore, I'm going to put my trust into Cardano. And again, that's when it just takes off.
Yeah, and there's been tons of, this comes back down to kind of the .com bubble analogy. Is like there were tons of websites, AOL, MSM, that were the biggest names in online.
Mm-hmm.
AOL is kind of the most prolific example of this, and they did a really good job of penetrating the market, getting their name around there, and legitimately onboarding a lot of users. Well, they're not Google, they're not Amazon, they're not the ones at the end of the day who are these multi-trillion-dollar market cap companies. AOL, I think, still exists. So, but that's kind of the overall narrative here, is that Cardano is going to be, if crypto is allowed to thrive and is regulated properly over the next 5 years, Cardano will be the next like Amazon, Google, one of those that emerge from the .com bubble, not only to survive but to thrive and to define and create completely new industries into the future. And that's just my take. And my take is almost completely based on the way and the pace. Tim said it best here, the turtle and the hare pace that Cardano has had compared to its competitors. Now, we get a lot of stories we got to cover.
We do, and it's 9:33, so let's go ahead. And are you ready for the market open? Did anything pop off
Am I ready for the market open? Of course I am,
That's what you
Tim.
live for.
This is the real me when we get to the market open here, and that's Tim's chart. So okay, so somebody in the comments mentioned the BTC to the yen, to the Japanese currency chart, and I looked it up, and it's really interesting. It's spiking quite a bit. So this is not Bitcoin to USD. Do not be confused, but it might be interesting to take another look at that there, Tim. I don't know, maybe not.
Which one?
This is Bitcoin to the yen. Bitcoin to JPY.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, that would make sense that it's going. They just, Good.
So let's take a look. We're going to start off with our U.S. indexes. As you can see, they're coming in moderately lower. NASDAQ leading the way lower. And the Dow not too far away from green numbers there. But as you can see, it's the S&P here is just kind of continuing to trade in the range. I don't know how that line got moved, but it's like off a little bit. No worries.
If you drew it on a log chart, potentially.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Something like that. But anyway, yeah, so it's coming
I think your
back
screen
down.
Paused.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Sometimes I don't know why. Sometimes it does not like your screen.
Yeah, you just got to give it a second here.
It does not want to do.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. This is just the
play-by-play
travails of...
While we're trying to get that to work. Play-by-play. What are you seeing?
Okay. Yeah. Good call. So essentially, the S&P is down. Energy. So oil is slightly green today, but not really making any direction in the early minutes of trading here. Natural gas is down, and that was going to be the one that I really focus in on here. Yeah, there we go. Now it's working. So natural gas today, man, take a look at this. Another gap down lower. Mm-hmm. So at this point, I only have my long. I wish I had my short. And that is the mistake that I made because I got complacent and I got lazy with this straddle play that I've been running. I absolutely should have put my short back on here so that I could have enjoyed these gains. And I am now 14% down to the downside in a triple leverage. So it's triple 14, which is not great. Honestly, it's not where I wanted to be. I've pretty much given all my gains back on this trade. But guys, take a look at this. This is also, in my opinion, we're getting down to an excellent buy spot. So I would consider taking a position in UNG, especially if you're a crypto trader, you've never gotten into any kind of ETFs or indexes before. Obviously, do not invest anything that you're not able to lose. But this could be a good tiptoe into equities, into ETFs. Yeah. The tickers I like to trade in natural gas are BOIL and cold. Cold is the short, which is up 13%. BOIL is the down, or BOIL's the long. And that's enough about energy. Moving on into crypto, you can see we've got skies of green here as Ethereum leads the way higher today, which is awesome because they're our cover story. And we're going to be talking about them here on the other side of the market open. But everything's green, including Atom. Atom also, kind of leading the way here too. Not as much as Ethereum and Binance. Binance Coin, it's good to see this confidence. Let's take a look here at Binance Coin because this is one, and I'm so glad that my screen is cooperating now. We get mad in the times that it doesn't, but we have to rejoice in the times that it does. So you can see here, Binance has recovered and come back into this channel, but now it's teasing and playing. Let's even check it out on the 4-hour. It's teasing and playing with coming back down through this channel, and it's now just barely in this longer term line of support. It's come back, but that's a very long line of support, and so it's good to see it come back up into that. These wicks are not getting back above and putting us back into that triangle, which is a little worrying, to be honest. This looks pretty bearish, but overall, I'd say that it's showing short-term strength of getting back up above that longer-term line of support. Let's see what Lux Algo is saying here about BNB if we should cooperate. Yeah, so it had that buy signal. It has not updated on the 4-hour. Let's see on the 1-hour, it's still under that strong sell. Yeah. So that's crypto.
Here's a lot more to remember though. This is the question that people need to be asking right now. And after this, I think it's time to jump into some stories so we can make sure we get to the AMA on time. So here's the thing. Why? Why did we rally this morning? When T-Shim is showing us everything is green, why? I think that it's a nice feeling to almost act like, oh, look, everything's green. Everything must be good. But you got to ask why. And I'm going to be honest with you. There is no answer to that.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking at with these charts. When things fall hard, they create great buying opportunities. But have you ever heard influencers talk about do not leverage trade on crypto? Why? Because there are experts out there that will mess with you. Here's my point. Everything on the charts, everything in the news, everything fundamentally the way it had developed was pointing towards red candles. Maybe small relief, but red candles. The fact that we're seeing such green candles today, I believe, is a part of very, very professional traders who know markets well, who know how to play on people's emotions. They're going to mess with those emotions even more by giving us these green candles all the way up to, almost 4% on Ethereum, 3% on Bitcoin, 2% on a lot of the other coins, 3% on a lot of these other coins. They're going to mess with you and make you think, oh, I want to be part of this rally and I want to buy in. And this is where that meme comes. When the people joke about, oh, I always buy the tops and sell the bottoms. Why? Because they don't stop to ask the questions why and not FOMO into these things or FUD out at times. This is where traders like to mess with the average retail investor. So this morning, as you're looking at your charts, be asking why. And if there's no answer why, don't FOMO into this space. Could it go to the upside? It absolutely could. But even if we go a little further to the upside on these coins, that would be a continuation of playing with people's emotions. Mm-hmm. I very much expect us to dip again. I expect that there's going to be a lot of people who just bought in right now on Bitcoin and Ethereum and other coins. They just bought in because they saw the rally. They're like, oh, it's a green day. It's time to buy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, there's no reason why.
Yeah.
If you asked why it rallied, there's no reason why.
Yeah.
The trend is still to the downside,
yeah.
And the trend is your friend until it ends.
Yeah. I mean, my explanation would just be it's testing a little bit higher after yesterday's sell-off. So it's testing where its new line of resistance is on like the smaller time scales. But looking over at the bonds are higher. Bond yields are higher. And then this is extremely important, guys. I don't want to move away from the market open until I show you guys this. So steel, I keep getting these confused. Steel is up 2%, but silver and gold are making some big moves upwards. So silver got bought big here after it broke this line of support. Guys, this to me is showing that there is real money moving into silver, trying to find havens. Because there are real recession fears at this point. Mm-hmm. I don't know why this is. Because I have Lux Algo on. Yeah, it looks like a little like rainbow road here. But yeah, so gold and silver are getting bought here, guys, and this is on a daily chart. So gold went down, tested this 200-day moving average. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be rotating into silver gold. I'm going to be rotating into the precious metals because I think Q1 is going to be rough. So, okay. I thought you had something to say about that.
No, my point there is that's a beautiful. So the question. So, unlike crypto, we look at green candles in crypto today. We say why are they green? We don't have an answer. When you ask why is silver green, there's a very good answer for that. That's a reason to go into a project because there's a good answer to the why.
Yeah.
Unlike what we see in crypto right now, where there's not a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And all right. So let's go ahead and get into the stories. I could say some more things about natural gas, but ultimately, guys, just do a little bit of research this weekend. Or what day is it? Yeah, it feels like the weekend.
This whole week. I mean, it's gonna be like one big weekend. A lot of people start getting off work.
Yeah. This Christmas season. FTX founder Bankman-Fried sent back to Bahamas jail in a day of courtroom chaos. Look at him there. You can see his head. He's got these bulletproof vest escorts. Let's take a look here. He's headed back to jail in the Bahamas. He had been expected to waive his rights to an extradition hearing on Monday morning, but in court demanded to see a copy of his federal indictment, with his defense attorney expressing shock at the proceedings. I can't believe SBF is in court, said his attorney. Bankman-Fried, dressed in a blue suit and white button-down shirt, was visibly shaking, and his defense attorney told the court that he was shocked that Bankman-Fried was in court. Why is this innocent man here before the courts? Said his attorney. We'll keep looking here. So in other FTX news, because this saga is unending, FTX is now seeking prompt return of Sam Bankman-Fried's political donations. And guys, there's a lot to look into here. I was able to find the spreadsheet. This got public of everything. And this is just the Google Docs. This isn't even a screenshot. You can move around and it's view only, but you can see all the different donations. We don't have time to get into it, but essentially it's looking like he donated some $46.5 million in total political donations. And
which we know he did more, but that's just what's officially on the record.
So that's what's on the record and everything. And this article goes on to talk about this website, opensecrets.org, that tracks a lot of this and how they've kind of broken down who got what. But ultimately, guys, there's a bunch of political people who got paid. They got donated to. and they're going to have
they
to.
got paid.
Yeah, they're going to have to fork back that cash to
donations are not free. The political donations never are free. There's always something attached to a donation. So we can just go ahead and say they got paid.
Yeah. So that's all kind of predictable. Ultimately, guys, we are going to keep reporting on this FTX stuff, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be any kind of breaking, like super big news. This is my opinion. In any time soon, it's going to be a lot of back and forth between the U.S. and the Bahamas for a while, and then he'll probably make his way to the U.S. But they're dragging their feet. They're absolutely going to drag their feet as much as possible, so that he. I mean, this episode is for him is just so that he can probably spend Christmas with his family in the Bahamas. To be honest with you. So okay, moving along though to some stuff.
Pause real quick.
Go ahead, Tim.
I'm a big fan.
We're at 106 viewers. Let's get some likes, baby.
Yeah, we have a lot of people. I'm a big fan of us reading all stories like we're reading Christmas children's stories.
Okay.
From here on out. I think
you like
the audience
that?
is too.
I didn't. I was very willing to do that. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Macro Guru Raoul Pal says one catalyst could open institutional floodgates and set off crypto fireworks.
Look at that picture.
I think that's an AI-generated picture more than likely. So that's a lot of fun. Former Goldman Sachs executives Raoul Pal has said some things, and I find them to be very interesting. This is some analysis from him. Let's begin. This is him. We're at a blow-up phase. The FTX scandal. Now it's seen this. I've seen it with Mt. Gox. I've seen it with Bitfinex. I've seen it, and if you're hearing something in the background, that was Tim brushing his beard.
Can you really hear that? There's no way they heard that.
I heard it in my headphones. Back to former Goldman Sachs executive view on the future of crypto. I've seen it with Bitfinex. I've seen it with every single bloody cycle. And this time around, it was like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. Yeah, it's every time the end of the world. And guess what? It's not. He gets it. He understands the bull and bear cycles, guys. It's never the end of the world, people say. Well, nobody's ever going to come back into this market. Well, I've been around. I've been around the block a long time. I've been 30 odd years in the financial markets, and I've seen this with hedge funds, long-term capital management, the biggest blow up of hedge fund in history, and the Fed had to bail out the whole system. What everybody shouted then, they're a Ponzi, they're a scam, they're over-leveraged. Hedge funds are an uninvestable net outcome. The net assets of hedge funds went up 5x over the next 5 years. Why? Regulation, says Raoul Pal. Everybody tells us that institutions are still looking at this space. So my guess is regulation and an upswing in prices in the global liquidity, and they start coming in a more meaningful way. They okay. They tend to be momentum chasers, these investors at Wall Street. Regulation equals safety equals green light. Regulation equals safety equals green light equals go. If that coincides with global liquidity, it causes fireworks. And I don't know if that's him. That's Raoul Pal, former Goldman Sachs executive. So basically his rallying cry here is, I've been around the block, guys. I've been in investment markets, global markets, hedge funds. I know these guys. I know how they think. And while the market is screaming bloody murder over FTX and everything's collapsing, the sky is falling, institutions, and we've been seeing this, we've been reporting on this, okay? This guy right over here sitting, this handsome young man with the beard, he's been saying this day in and day out, that the whales are buying the dip. And now Raoul Pal, former Goldman Sachs executive, if you didn't know where he was from, he's saying that the whales are buying the dip. He's saying that the wisest among us are looking at crypto and they're trying to figure out where to put their money. Not just crypto, risk assets all across the board. Those small cap tech stocks as well, and pharmaceuticals. So should you, right? And it's not just him that's saying this. We've got other people in the market, believe it or not, who are saying the same thing, that crypto CEO Brian Armstrong is calling for regulation of the crypto industry. And so while Raoul Pal's first thesis here, the first movement in his thesis is that he's been around the block, he's seen blood in the streets, and that's the best time to buy. He's also calling for regulation. He's saying once regulation comes and there's clarity, if that coincides with global liquidity, and I'm glad he makes that distinction, because if there's no liquidity, then there's not going to be the ability to buy assets. But if there is liquidity, then you're going to see a giant upside to crypto and to risk assets. And Brian Armstrong here is calling for that, calling for just that regulation. And we're not going to go into this too much, but I mean, you can see here, he's Brian Armstrong and he's calling for regulation. That's the story. Are you ready to get into the cover story, Tim, or did you have any thoughts on everything that I just read?
I was confused for a second. I thought you went into a Trump impersonation when you were talking about.
I would never do that. I would never do that.
Okay, that's not necessarily true. I feel like you would definitely pull out a Trump impersonation.
We'll have to talk about that after the stream because I would never.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
Ever do a Trump impersonation.
Huge. But you're just like, that very good-looking guy is sitting across to me. He's very good. Very smart.
He's very good at his job. He knows he's well-networked. He knows a lot of good people that are very strong and very powerful people. Boy, Trump's in some hot water. We're not going to cover this story.
We're not going to talk about that.
But he's got...
That's why I started laughing. I thought that's where you were going with it. So
no,
yeah,
I don't...
I misread the room.
It's not that I don't care, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. And maybe for the AMA, we might get into it. Ooh, tune into the AMA here in just a few minutes.
We need to get into the Ethereum story, though. Let's do that. I don't know what your other plans were. Let's scrap all other plans. Let's talk Ethereum and Ethereum news because we got 10 minutes.
So, Tim, you wanted to go ahead and crack open the Ethereum news?
I want to crack it open as Smay used to do. I don't know where I'm going. Smay's whole. Remember when he did his whole bit where he's like. That was fun.
Yeah.
Same thought. Let's crack it open.
Let's crack it open. All right. So here's the big headline, guys. Visa is exploring options to allow auto payments via the Ethereum wallets. And look at this journalist here. She's doing an excellent job bringing us the latest and greatest over there at watcher.guru, one of the most up-to-date Twitter accounts. American FinServ multinational corporation Visa recently released a proposal outlining how Ethereum users could set up automatic payments directly from their own self-custodial wallets. It will be eliminating banks and other centralized entities from the equation. Whoa, that's a big statement. Yep. I wonder if that's part of the announcement or if that's just the journalist kind of summarizing that. A team of researchers and engineers across Visa is working to evaluate the foundations of various blockchains. The focus areas include security, scalability, interoperability, privacy, and use cases of different protocols. And we've got some ads there. We've already looked into that. Visa head of central bank cryptocurrencies and protocols, Catherine Gu, emphasized that the company is focused on growing their core competencies in Web3 infrastructure layers and blockchain protocols, driving crypto development. This is exactly what Raoul Pal was talking about. Is like, while everybody's screaming bloody murder in the streets and focusing on every single airplane that FTX gets on going to and from the Bahamas, Visa is working hard to get ahead in Web3, partnering with Ethereum. So if one of the major use cases of blockchain is for payments, then the basic requirement is that the blockchain has to function just as good as today, if not better, which is definitely true. The account abstraction tangent, I don't know if we want to get into that. Let's go ahead and discuss kind of where we are here with this article. What are you thinking about this, Tim?
So to me, when I saw this article, I didn't think this was a reason for the pump this morning because there's a lot of development they have to do here. This, though, is where I think it could be huge. Now, I've been talking about, especially with Cardano, but this doesn't answer that one. But the crypto space as a whole, I'm ready for volume to come in. Now, when we're talking about Ethereum, why would volume on Ethereum be actually so significant? Go to my screen real quick. Those of you who track this screen right here, this is the ultrasound money. This is tracking Ethereum's actual ability to be deflationary. So, of course, they're still printing coins, and they were inflating. But when we started and moved into proof of stake, Ethereum actually, because so much was being purchased, because there was so much exchange and volume being transferred, it moved into being deflationary. We actually spent a good amount of time below the zero level. We were actually every single day, more Ethereum tokens are being burned than being created. Therefore, even if people still were not necessarily buying on crazy levels, the Ethereum price will go up because law of economics, if the demand stays high and the supply goes low, the price goes to the upside, right?
That's right.
Well, a lot of people were freaking out when Ethereum started going back to being inflationary. And currently right now, technically speaking, we're back to producing more Ethereum per day than is being burned. Now, The good thing is like it's still nowhere close to what it was when it was proof of work. Bitcoin, you can even see. So this orange one right there on the screen, that's Bitcoin. This blue one down low is Ethereum proof of stake, and then the white one was Ethereum proof of work. It's still way lower, but when you have more volume coming in, more transactions, the more transactions will lead to more tokens burned. More tokens burned will lead to it being back to being deflationary, where every single day there's more tokens being lost than gained, and that will bring a price action spike. When you have something fundamentally that cool as to even what they're saying that they're trying to accomplish is that you don't even need the bank. Ethereum could actually be used via Visa to be making purchases. Of course, we know how cool it is with the Bitcoin Lightning Network, how cool that is. That has not yet necessarily gained too much traction. I think Ethereum has a very real chance at having some success here. Not saying that Ethereum's become the money of the future. I just think this is one level. I don't even think you need this to break the whole globe and just everyone switch to Ethereum. I think if just a certain amount of people start paying for things with Ethereum, if people can make automatic payments using Ethereum via Visa, the volume will come back into the space that will allow this triple halving event that we've been talking about to skyrocket Ethereum's price. This does not answer the question yet, though, of course. We need to find out what Ethereum gets classified on. Is it security? Is it a commodity? Is it something else? That question is still looming very large. But for the fundamental adoption of Ethereum, for the volume to come back into space, for the things to happen, for Ethereum to become truly deflationary the way we've been predicting it will be, we need something like this to happen. So I think this is super cool to see Visa and Ethereum partner up. I think it's very good for Ethereum price action. For everyone who's been holding ETH and wondering when the heck is the price finally going to do what we're predicting, it's moves like this that will allow that to happen sooner than later. Did the article teacher give a timeline on when that would be up and operational, or did it just say that's something they're working on?
I don't believe so. I think it goes on to kind of talk about the technical element of how they're going to enable automatic payments.
Yeah.
And so this individual over at Visa, I believe, Catherine Gu, talks about AA, which is
that's the
account abstraction tangent, which sounds like it gets into computer speak quite quickly there. But basically with AA, one could set up pull payments with a delegable account instead of push payments on the back end, so that on the front end, an end user can set up auto payments in the same way we do today. So more than likely, by the time this is ready to ship to actual users of Visa, they won't notice a difference at all, except maybe there might be a brought to you by Ethereum logo somewhere. Mm-hmm. And Ethereum, would probably ascend in value quite a bit. Again, given the liquidity, Raoul Pal makes an excellent comment there. That's a good disclaimer to have with pretty much every bit of analysis. But did that answer your question? I feel like
kind of, not necessarily. I think the whole thing isn't bringing any price action value right now, but when it comes out and launches, it will be huge. So this is one of those stories that is not necessarily a buy the rumor, sell the news story. This is a very big fundamental update that you need to be prepared for and be watching and waiting for. What are the updates with Ethereum and Visa? When is this coming out? Because there are people right now that do spend crypto. I mean, I know it seems funny. I don't think many people in our chat and other places on crypto YouTube use Ethereum or Bitcoin or crypto that much to pay for things. Maybe USDC and USDT and other stable coins. But there are people that do. There are people that absolutely do use that. And so just bringing that extra volume accelerates that triple halving event with Ethereum, accelerates the deflationary aspect of Ethereum. And here's the other thing to remember. Again, the security question is really big, but I like to remember these stories till we can go back to them. It's a really big deal. Institutions still, there are several institutional players that still trust Ethereum more than Bitcoin. There are still several institutions who have not yet swung over and said, I think that Bitcoin's the future, which is why there are still grumblings that Ethereum someday will flip Bitcoin, because people see value in Ethereum that they don't see in Bitcoin. Those of us who know both of them, we know they're completely different tools. We know that they can be used for different things. They can coexist. They can both be big. It doesn't really matter to me which one's bigger than the other. They're both going to grow very large. My point here is that those grumblings have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's less people talking about Ethereum flipping. These are the types of updates and stories that if they come out, they could be part of the reason why those rumors start to come back up and could come to fruition. Yeah. If Ethereum's volume just goes off the charts because people are using Ethereum to pay for things, then potentially what we're going to see is a flipping event, or at least a skyrocket in price action for Ethereum. I'm hoping Bitcoin Lightning Network and everything that Jack
Dorsey,
no, not Jack Dorsey,
Jack Ma,
no, what's his name? Jack
at Lightning Network.
Yeah, no, the guy Jack. It's not Dorsey, but Maller.
Jack Mallard.
Jack Mallard has been working a lot with Strike. That's what it is. I still believe heavily in that stuff. I know the development still is going to take a little bit longer before it's full fledged. But if we have a partnership right now with Visa, Visa is going to be a much bigger adoption than Strike. And if it's true that you can through Visa just be spending Ethereum and you don't even have to go through a bank, it's literally your Ethereum's in your cold wallet, it's in your wallet, it's self custody, and you can be spending it and paying for things and set up automatic withdrawals and automatic payments, and it's a way to actually really get rid of the banking system. And it looks like Ethereum's taking some major strides in that direction. The story will develop. It'll get bigger as we go. But to me, this is extremely long-term bullish for Ethereum adoption.
Yep. And then we got a really big headline here that we would be remiss if we did not mention. So the Nike, the Japanese stock market, has fallen more than 2% this morning. Probably has recovered from that by now. But because of this news, the Bank of Japan has widened its yield target range. So this is the first monetary tightening measure that the Bank of Japan has taken, and this marks the final tightening, I believe, the final tightening of the last central bank policy that had not tightened. So the entire world now is in lockstep to tighten monetary policy, and to Raoul Pal's point of liquidity needing to line up, that is not liquidity. Monetary tightening is the opposite of liquidity, and so global markets are not in a position right now to put in a bottom in any market except probably precious metals, but that's the exception to the rule. So the other one we're going to have to skip for today, but we'll probably be talking about it in the AMA, which is about to start very, very soon.
Yeah, so that's going to conclude today's video, and anyone of you joined late, you can go back and watch this later. But we are literally about to end this stream, so that we have this complete one, and then we're going to be starting maybe a 30 to 45-minute AMA. We're going to be talking about Christmas traditions. We're going to give some of our favorite traditions and least favorite traditions. So make sure you hang tight, go to our channel. It's going to be up here in just a second. We love each and every single one of you, and we'll see you in the AMA. And if you don't make it for that one, we will see you next Monday, or next Tuesday, December 27th. With that said, Merry Christmas to everybody, and have a great day.